you know, so I can flip back and forth between them, right?
What hotkey was that?
I have software where you can
Okay.
make whatever hotkey you want to resize windows. It's called Spectacle.
So through the App Store?
I don't know.
Okay.
Possibly.
I'll look into it.
It's free.
Cool.
So your formal report, you need a title. So let's just say measuring boxes, author information, Jeffrey A. Tibbet, date performed, 1/14/15. Okay. Now you need the 6 sections. Here's your introduction, procedures, no abstract, results. Oh, I missed one, right? Data, discussion, conclusion. Okay, so there are your 6 sections. Now, this is a pretty good font to use. Cambria is a good reading font. I'll blow this up so you can see it a little bit better. Zoom, where's Zoom?
On the bottom, or you can go full screen.
Okay, 125. So let me blow this up a little bit. Okay, you guys see that? Now, this is a pretty good reading font. You see the J has these nice little things at the top. You know, when fonts are a little bit fancy, they can be more pleasing to the eye. I'll show you Times New Roman. I usually like to set my font in Times New Roman. So size 12 is a standard size font up there. And single space your paper. You know, single or 1.5. None of this double space stuff to fill up space. You know, longer papers are a hassle to read. You know, less pages have to turn. Easier. So you see Times New Roman also has these little things sticking out of the M up there. And the T, you know, it's got a little thing dropping down on both sides. You know, it's easy to read. It flows well. Okay, when you do charts and figures and tables with lots of numbers in them, then you want to switch your font and pick a consistent font. So the whole paper will be in Times New Roman, and when it comes time to do a table and a figure, then we'll decide on a good number font. Okay, but we want our title to stick out. It's the title after all, so it has to stick out more than everything. So let's increase the font size, maybe 16. Maybe make it bold. Okay, you want to underline it, make it bold, you know, all that crap. Just pick something, some way that it stands out, and that'll be it. So let's, pardon me. That'll be good for the recording. Let's see. So highlight your section titles and also make them stand out, but not so much as the title, right? So these are just the sections. So let's just make them bold or whatever. You want to make them bold and underline too, that's fine. If you want to do underline, okay. Now, if you make your section titles bold, don't use any bold anywhere else. If that's all you did to make your section title stand out, then you don't want to make every other word bold. Okay, this name is special, let's bold that. Okay, just your sections are bold. Now, let's go ahead and take your title, let's center it. There you go, nice title. And your section titles will just be separated. Now we want your section to be separated from the title part by like 1 or 2 blank lines. Let's maybe do 2 blank lines. And you also want your sections to be separated from each other by, I would say 2 blank lines would be good, okay? Because you want to identify, you know, this is this section and that's that section. You don't want there to be any discrepancy. So let's separate all of the sections by 2 blank lines. Okay, introduction, we'll just leave that blank. Procedures, leave that blank. Data is where we're going to put our data. So under the data section, let's leave 2 blank lines for between sections. Okay, the 7 boxes were remeasured or maybe let's fix that, the lengths, widths, and heights of the 7 boxes. The boxes are labeled A through G, were remeasured, and the measurements are displayed below in table 1. Okay, that's pretty good. Now, one thing I forgot to do is set my margins. So let's go ahead and do that before we start putting a bunch of stuff in this paper. So let's go ahead and set the margins. You can do it by right here. You know, there's ways to do it right there. But I like to do just, format the entire document and set the margins. Okay, the margins, you want them to be 1 inch all the way around, and on the left-hand side, you can do 1.25 if you want. So the left-hand side can be a little bit bigger than the rest if you want. I'm just going to do 1 inch all the way around. Okay, so the margins for the whole document are set. Now, anything that I put inside this paper has to fit in those margins. And in addition to that, when you write text, like let's say I wrote several sentences here, blah, 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 blah. Okay.
I like how the capitalized one doesn't correct the spelling.
Yeah, interesting. So you see here how this line doesn't go out to the end, but this one does. So you need to justify your text. You know, like textbooks have all their lines justified. So again, let's justify all of our text. So you can just select the entire document if you want, and we'll justify. Now you can find hotkeys. That's the key for justifying the text. But anything you can do in these buttons up here, you can always do up here. So format the what is it, the paragraph now, and spacing. What is it? Alignment, justified. There you go. So justify it. And now you see these lines go out to the same distance, right at the margin. So don't forget to justify all of your text when you do a formal report. Okay, so let me get rid of that junk sentence. Now, we're going to put table 1. Tables have their titles above. So let's put the table title, and then we'll paste in the table when we make it. Table 1, box dimensions. That's a good title. It describes what is in the table. Okay, return, and that's where we're going to paste in our table. Now, let's just space down a couple, give it a little bit of space. Now going over here, oh, by the way, we have a nice paper generated, so let's go ahead and save it. Don't forget to do that. Measuring boxes, just put it up. I like to put stuff I work on right on the desktop so I can see it, and then when it's done, I file it away. So I don't know how you like to do things. So let's put the table. We'll fill out a certain section of the table here, and you can make your tables different ways. This one is pretty straightforward though. We have 7 boxes labeled A through G, and each one has 3 different measurements. So maybe you want to put box, you know, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Then go back up here and put like a length. Okay, let's say we're measuring them in centimeters. Okay, width, centimeters, height, centimeters. Okay, now let's just say box A is 7.0. 0. If you're using the Westcott rulers, you should be able to measure to 100th of a centimeter. Okay, the width is 7.20, and the height is 9.04. Okay, now it already is not showing us those decimal places. So let me zoom this up. I'm sorry, I'll zoom up the thing so you can see a little better. See a little better? Let me blow up this window a little bit. Okay. So let's fix all of the numbers that's going to go in here. They're all going to have 2 decimal places. So let's go ahead and select all of these. We want we want to format the contents of these cells. So go back up here and you select format, the cells. And this is a number issue. So no, not currency. Okay, right here. 2 decimal places, it already guessed it for us. Okay, now that fixes it. Now, I'm just going to throw in some numbers, 8.00. And just to make things simple, I'll just copy them. You know, so let's say they're all boxes, 12.00, and then copy them like that, and 15.00, copy them, and then 18.00, 20.00, and then 35.00. Okay, so let's take these, select those, and copy them over. Okay. So that's your table. Now this table is not ready to be pasted into Word yet. You need to fix it up. So first things first, let's change the font. Arial is a pretty good number font. Calibri is okay. I'm partial to Arial. Okay. Now notice how the numbers are kind of block style. You don't see any weird squiggly stuff coming off the letters and the numbers like you do in Times New Roman. Look at the letter B here and look at the letter B over there. So this one's simpler. It's just block. It's easier to look at the numbers. So all of this stuff will be done using block inside the entire table, including these few words. Okay, next let's maybe I don't know, you could center all the columns, so you can format these cells. And this is an alignment issue this time. So horizontal alignment, center. I usually like to do vertical centering within the cell as well. Okay, there you go, your stuff is centered. Now, it looks like these are kind of skinny. We need a little bit more space. Let's make these columns a little bit wider. So you can increase the column width like that, maybe. Now this column can be kind of skinnier. Let's make that a little skinnier. Okay, now let's get rid of all these lines in the background. So the way you want to get rid of those lines, you don't want the background to be filled with any lines. So let's go Format, Cells. This is a fill option. Okay, the pattern in the background, we don't want any pattern. Okay, there you go. So your table right there. Now, we do want there to be a line above and below the table. So let's format these cells to get a line above and below. So Format Cells. And this is a border issue. So click a nice line style, thin line, it's okay. So you can do above and below. Now you don't want to fill up you don't want all the cells to look like that, all checkerboard, or we just got rid of that. So there we go. But this is a special row, so let's give this a line below as well. You can do Format Cells. I just know that if you double click, then you can do the Format Cells. That's also a hotkey number, Command 1, so I'll do that in the future. And then I'll do a line below this one right there, but this time I'm going to make it a little bit different. I'll do the double line. So hit that right there. So a little double line. Okay. Now the last thing, before you copy this in, is a little issue. Sometimes people do stuff like this. Okay. Now what's wrong with that? Well, the left-hand side of the table has a lot of blank space, but the right-hand side only has a little bit. So let's match those. Let's make the left-hand side amount of extra space match the right-hand side, at least close enough. Okay, the space over here matches that over there. Okay, this is a good one. Now let's go ahead and save this. Workbook 1, maybe, or measuring boxes 1, whatever. Let's put a measuring boxes and put that right on the desktop as well. Okay, because of course this is Microsoft. It could crash at any moment. So let's select this and copy it. Edit copy, or just if you know your hotkey for copy that, and go back over here, and we know it's going to go right there. So you can edit, paste. Now when you paste things just like that, you can continue to format stuff. Okay, you can mess it up over here if you want. You can do that, and that messes it up. Okay. If you don't want it to be messed up, you want the format to be fixed, then instead of pasting it as just a regular paste, you can do paste special or paste as whatever. You can paste it as a picture. You can paste it as a PDF. For some reason, when you paste it as a picture using Mac, it makes it a little blurry. I haven't figured out how to fix that, so I usually paste it as a PDF, and that's kind of like a picture object. Now, if you resize this, it changes the font. So you don't want to resize it. You want to leave your font fixed. Okay? Now, if you go back and you paste it as a regular paste and you resize it, that keeps the same font. Okay, if you paste it in this Excel object. Okay, so I'm going to go back and I'm going to paste it in as a PDF. I'm just going to leave it. So you have these kind of options that you can do. Okay, so there you go. There's your completed data section. Your results section. Okay, I'm not going to tell you what to type here. The box, the calculated volumes need to be compared with the given volumes. Or actually, before you even compare them, you need to calculate them. The volumes of all 7 boxes are calculated using the measurements in table 1 and are reported next to the given volumes in table 2. Also, the percent difference are calculated and reported Okay, something like that. Now, we didn't say how we're calculating percent difference, by the way, but let's just go ahead and we know we're going to put it right here. So table 2 will go right there. And by the way, when you make a table, you want a blank line to separate the table and the rest of the text. Here, a blank line above, and since this comes at the end of the section, 2 blank lines below. Okay, so we know that it's not going to go right there. It's going to go right there. Table 2, volume, or box calculations, maybe. Okay, and we know it's going to go right below it. So let's go back over here. Now, if you make 2 tables and you want to put them on the same page, if you put it right below the other table and you start messing around with the width, it's going to change the width of the original one. And if you put it right next to it and you start messing around with something, it's going to change the original table. So sometimes when I do other tables, I want to put it on the same page so I can see them both, and I'll put it diagonally down. So if I adjust the width and height of any of the cells down here, it's not going to affect that one. So over here, we're going to make another table, and we'll call it table 2, box. Here's going to be given volume, or volume given, whatever you want to call it. The unit's going to be centimeter cubed, okay? And then calculated volume, centimeter cubed. And then next to that will be percent difference. Okay. Now, I think I'm actually going to swap places. So the given will go there, and the calculated will go there, and then the given will go there. Okay. Now, of course, something's going on here. We need to adjust this, but let's just put our boxes. So here, we'll just copy these. I already wrote them down. Copy those and paste them right there. Okay. Oh, it already pasted the format and everything. So I didn't really want it to do that yet, but whatever. Now, the calculated volumes. The calculated volume, you don't want to calculate this off to the side and then type in the answer here. You want to use Excel to calculate it, because if you go back and you change one of these numbers, then it's going to automatically affect everything that you did, and that's what you want. Okay, so the calculated volume, we want what goes inside this box to be equal to the contents of that times the contents of that times that number. So you start with, whenever you want to do a calculation, you start with equals, and then you can just go over here and you click it, C3 times, it's a little shift 8 times, D3 times E3, and there you go. You can see, and it color codes sometimes with the letters over here, and enter, and there you go. Okay, now it didn't take care of sig figs for you. Excel doesn't have a good way to do that. Yeah, you have to manually do it. But now, rather than redoing that calculation for B, we could have done it. We could say equals to, this is now, we can just type it out, C4 times D4 times E4. We could have done that. But rather than do that, if you just highlight the one above and you go down here and you find that little box, you can just drag it down. It'll put the same similar formula. You can do it all the way down. You can calculate all of them. Okay. Now the given volumes. Let's just say I'm going to give you some volumes. Let's say it's 600, 700, 2400, 5000, 7000, 15,000, and 200. Or no, let's just say 80,000. Okay, so there's some given volumes. Now percent difference, we want the percent difference to be this box minus that box, the absolute value, divided by this box times 100. So let's try to put that in there. So this is going to be equal to, now you need the absolute value function. And over here is where all your functions up there. You need to do insert, function or something. You can find it right there, but you can also find the functions over here. Here's some normal ones. Here's absolute value, and if you want more functions, it'll find it. So you can calculate the slope, and stuff like that, doing this way also. So it's just absolute value, and this, opens it up, and you can just put it. So I'm gonna change it up here. So you can modify the contents up there of what you're typing as well. So the absolute value is going to be H13 minus I13. Okay, now that goes in the numerator, so I'm going to divide that by the calculated, and then finally multiply that by 100. And there's a percent difference. And once you calculate that one, it does a similar formula down there. Okay, now I'm not going to adjust all of your sig figs correctly, but I'll do the first one, the calculated volume. So here's 3 sig figs times 3 sig figs times 3 sig figs. So the answer in here gets 3. So we're just going to round it to having no decimal points. So I'm going to format this cell, and that's a number issue. Number, no decimal points. Okay. And I'm going to leave you. It's kind of a hassle dealing with sig figs for the percent differences. I'll just tell you right now, I'm not going to care if you do the sig figs right. Just don't give me 1,000 of them, okay? Don't have something like this. So round everything over here, make the table kind of small. This paper is about formatting. It's not about sig figs. So I'm just going to, how about make everything have no decimal places? Okay. Now, there's all the contents that we have. We just have to format it correctly. So let's do that. Let's select all of these cells. Again, let's pick the Arial. Our font for tables is Arial. What do I do? Arial size 12? Okay, I usually like Arial size 10. I like the table font a little bit less than the rest of the paper font, but we'll leave it as size 12 now. Okay, so there we go. Now let's fill the background without those lines. So format cells, and that's that fill issue. Now again, if you're using a different computer, you have different buttons that you're going to be hitting, or different hotkeys or whatever. I'm just showing you what you need to do. So let's center everything. Let's take all this. Let's just find that alignment center. There we go. Now, all of this stuff up here, it looks like this column, we need, we don't want these to be really wide columns in order to fit all the text. That's a ridiculously wide table. Let's just make it 2 lines. So let's go ahead and increase the row width. Okay, it's not automatically, putting these on 2 lines. So what you have to do is you have to take this and you have to wrap the text onto the second line. So find out how to wrap the text. Anytime you want to change something, it's format, cells, and this is an alignment issue. So wrap the text. Okay? So it looks like, it's missing calculated, it's missing given. Let's increase these just a little bit. There we go. Maybe decrease it a tad. Increase it. Let's put the units all below. So how about I'll decrease this one just a hair. Or no, increase it a little bit more. There you go. So units are below, or you can play around. I think I'll make this one a little smaller. Whatever. Okay. So you can waste a lot of time doing this like me. Okay, I'll leave it like that. Now let's finally put our lines above and below. So let's give this table a line above and below. Format cells, that's a border. So there we go, let's pick our single line above and below. And let's, okay. And we want 1 line below this. So format cells, pick that double line that goes down there. So there we go. Now this one, I kind of want that vertically centered, so I'm going to I'll just vertically center everything. Nothing wrong with doing that. So alignment and vertical center. Okay. Now, does that look good?
Yeah.
Anything I'm missing?
No.
Anybody see what I'm missing?
Title.
I have the table title over there. But what about the actual table? There's one more thing that I missed. Some formatting issue. The percent sign? Yeah, you can throw in a percent sign. Okay, here's a percent sign.
Spacing between the right side and the left side.
Okay, so spacing between the right side, that's a good one. I forgot about that. That's not what I was looking for, but I'll fix that. Now we want the spacing between the right side and the left side not only to match each other here, but match what we did in the other table. So we want that to be the same. So let's try to make it the same here. Okay. Now one more thing. Come on, you guys always miss this.
Decimals?
No, I said I'm not really going to care about sig figs this time. Now normally if it's an actual chemistry, you need to do sig figs, but one more thing. Formatting, look at the text. Look at the units.
Centimeters cubed.
Yeah, none of this stuff. None of the, definitely not that, and definitely not that. Okay? I know that means exponent, but let's go ahead and take advantage of a computer and give this a superscript. So you can do format, cells, and superscript, and you highlighted that, so it'll change that. And you can do the same thing here. Highlight that, and format the, it'll automatically pick it sometimes. There you go. So there we go. Okay, let's take that, copy it. Well, let's save it first. And copy it, paste it back over here. Remember, we pasted it as a, I want to paste it as a PDF. And let's do that. Paste as a PDF. Okay. So notice how the text is still justified. Sometimes I see it justified in one section, but then the next section you left it out. So okay, there's what you have to do. You have to reproduce that. Now I'm just going to upload the video. I'll stop the screen recording now, and I'll where is the screen recording at? Not that guy. Oh, is it up there?